Hi everybody, Random Reviews here, and today I'm reviewing Where the Red Fern Grows by Wilson Rawls. You guys see that cover okay? It is more of a darker cover. Okay. So this is more of a modern classic. The author, Wilson Rawls, actually grew up in the Oklahoma Ozarks, which I'm assuming, since the story takes place in the Ozarks, the story is taking place in somewhere that the author really knew about. And I really enjoyed the setting for the story. I really liked the style of writing that Wilson Rawls had. He really knew what he was writing about. The way that he wrote, it was as if you were there right along with Billy and saw everything and were affected just the same as he was. The story originally starts with an older Billy seeing an event occur between some other dogs, and he ends up flashing back to when he was a child and he was 10 years old, and the flashback starts when he's 10 and it goes right through. I think he's almost 17 by the time the flashback is done, and we're back at the last few pages of the book where it's older Billy remembering this again. So I really enjoyed the aspect of flashback, the entire story being told in flashback. I don't find a lot of stories are told, like the entire story is told through a flashback, but it worked with this story. I think it's because it's such a unique writing style that a lot of people don't use, that when you see it, you really enjoy it. Billy is our main character, and Billy is a boy. As I stated, he is 10 years of age, and it goes right through till he's 17. And it was a very good age gap to have. With growing through those ages with Billy, I think it worked for the story. I think the events that were occurring during that time frame really worked well for the story and for what Wilson Rawls was trying to put across with his points that he was making. I didn't even realize it until I finished this one and started reading some Sherlock and some Arthur. I didn't even realize that I had mainly picked books that had male main characters, and that was who our protagonist was in the stories, until I'd finished this one and I'd picked those up and I was reading them, because I am reading them. Even the William Shakespeare play has a male protagonist as well in it, so I'm enjoying it. It's been a while since I've read from a male's point of view. I think the last time I read one where it was a male POV, it was an Alex Rider novel or one of the Jack Sparrow ones when he was younger. I haven't fully completed those series, but that's beside the point. I really did enjoy this. Basically, the entire story starts with Billy, who wants to get a dog, really good hunting dog. He wants to get hound dogs, and he ends up saving up enough money through different events to get 2 hound dogs. And the front cover is kind of misleading because there's the red dog here and then there's the black dog over here. And the 2 dogs that he gets are actually both red. They're siblings, I believe. And the dogs have a very close connection to each other, as well as really close connection with Billy. You see how much these animals love Billy throughout the story and how much he loves these animals throughout the story. And probably about 10 pages into the book, I realized how partway through the book or at the end of the book there was an event that was going to take place, and it happened at the end. The author really wrote that ending well. I think if he didn't, he would have botched the entire story. He didn't, though. He really knew what he was talking about, and I think any pet owner, when they read those few pages, will completely understand where the author's coming from. I also want to point out, when I read the title, I wasn't too sure how that was going to fit in with the story, because sometimes you have titles that fit in with the story, other times you have titles where you don't even know where the author came up with that story, or the publisher. But the end of the story, there is a line, or I should say a paragraph, and you will understand that. So I give kudos to whoever came up with this title, be it the author, his wife, the publisher, whoever. Kudos to you, because this title works very well with this story. There was a scene partway through the book that I read, and I was actually, with how well the author had written the story and how well he'd written that scene, I was a little disturbed with it. It was a little too much information, I found, and the author really used that key moment in the story to help a character to grow and also to help move the storyline ahead, and it worked well. I really felt when the main character for the story, Billy, when he realized that he had moved on past that point, he had grown from it, even though it was still a part of his life, it had still affected him, he could still proceed on. And as a reader, it's really key to have you connect with the story, connect with the characters, and I really felt like I connected with Billy in that moment, because I felt that the author had written it, and I had also proceeded through that incident and grown from it and been able to move on from there to read the rest of the story. I'm definitely going to be keeping this modern classic on my bookshelf to show people. I think it is masterfully written. I kind of wish that the author had written more. I think he only wrote 2 books. I wish that he'd written more than just those books. I don't think you need to write a sequel, though, to this. I think the one is self-sufficient. It is great as a standalone title, and this has actually made me quite interested to pick up the movie and see how the movie goes well with this story. Hopefully it works. You never know when it comes to movies how close they will follow the storyline. But I would definitely recommend picking this book up and reading. I can't believe I didn't pick this up sooner to read, because it is extremely well written. The main character is considered, he ends up having to go into the town to pick up his dogs, because he's kind of mail ordered them, which you could do back then, I guess. And the town folk, or the town children, they all ask him like where he goes to school, or where he lives and things like that. And when he explains, they all start teasing him and calling him a hillbilly. So I'm assuming that the Ozarks are like Ozark Mountains, and it's just kind of out in the country. Like we have, like you call somebody a country bumpkin if they live like 500 miles from a city. So I'm kind of thinking that's kind of what he and his family were as well. They were kind of just like country folk. So I'm just using that so then you kind of understand that the time that this story takes place, there are a lot of situations that go on, and there are a lot of different standards that happen in this book that you don't necessarily have nowadays, but still, it is wonderfully written. I hope that you guys are enjoying whatever you guys are reading right now, and go and pick up a random book and read. Bye, guys.